To paint or not to paint? Every year that is the question superintendents must contend with as they decide how to extend play while their turf goes dormant. At the lodge at Ventana Canyon, a 36-hole Tom Fazio-designed course located in Tucson, Arizona, Superintendent Wally Dowe spent years overseeding his greens to get through the winter months. Then, an unusually cold winter led him to look for alternatives to overseeding.
And at the very beginning, we would overseed each year, and each spring we would have transition issues. And then about 4 years ago, I believe, we had an extremely cold winter where we had 3 days in a row where we had temperatures in the teens, and we never got above about 36 degrees. And we suffered some pretty severe winter kill. And at that point, we kind of reevaluated as far as the overseeding process and the strain and the damage that it did to the Bermuda grass turf. When we went into this, there was a facility down the street that had done it the year before we did. And so we gathered a group of members who were on our golf committee, and we actually went and played it in January, I believe. And the feedback from that was very positive, and I think that encouraged a lot of people that this is at least something we need to try. So the following year, we decided to not overseed and paint the greens. And through trial and error, each year's gotten a little better as far as our painting or tinting process. And I believe this is our 4th year into it, and this is by far the best year we've had on our non-overseeded surfaces, and it's something that I foresee us continuing to do.
There was a bit of a learning curve, Dowe said, but the results have been well worth it.
With a better putting surface over 12 months, then yes, the customer satisfaction or our member satisfaction on the putting surface is greatly improved than it has been in the past when we were overseeding surfaces. Because when we would overseed, you're going to have 4 to 6 weeks after you open that they're not very good, and then you're going to go through your transition issues in the spring and they're not very good, and we just don't have that anymore.
Dowe warns, however, that painting greens shouldn't be done strictly as a way to save money.
Tinting is not cheap, and if you're going into it with the idea that, hey, we're going to save tens of thousands of dollars because we're not having to buy seed, we're not having to water as much, I don't think you're going to be satisfied. Our goal was the overall health of our Bermuda grass over 12 months, and that has certainly been a success. We don't have transition issues in the spring. We have a much better product 12 months out of the year. We don't have slow greens when we reopen from overseeding, so it's really improved our product over 12 months.
His members seem to agree.
Yeah, the comments, especially this year, because this is obviously our best year we've had on them so far, have been very positive. I would say for the most part, everyone feels very strongly that not overseeding was the best choice.
Dowe shared his tricks of the trade for keeping his green speeds under control.
It's certainly something we always have to consider during the coldest months of the year. We'll monitor green speeds on a daily basis. Our targeted green speeds this time of the year are between 10 and 10.5. And on days we're not mowing, we'll send out a roller. We usually check green speeds ahead of the roller, and then we'll make a call or determination if we need to roll that green or not.
Height of cut is another important factor in keeping greens from becoming too fast.
The other key is with watching green speeds is be careful of your height of cut going into your winter. If your height of cut is way down around 100 or even below, you don't have anything to fall back to, because when you're at 100 and you've already frosted for a few days, it's not going to grow back up to 125 or 135. So we typically go into winter around 135 or 140. And so far we haven't had any issues of greens being too fast.
Applying the paint in the right quantities and frequencies allowed the course to optimize the performance of the paint system.
And we're putting it down at pretty light rates. So it's not like you're putting it on with a roller or you're actually like painting it on the surface. It's a regular greens foliar. It covers the leaf surface. So it's not a soaking like you would envision when you say paint. It's more of a tinting process, and light and consistent seems to be the key for us.
For other superintendents who might be considering a switch from overseeding to painting, Dowe has some words of advice.
Just be prepared, and a lot of your success is going to be based on how you go into the fall. If you're not going into the fall with strong, healthy plants, you're probably going to have some issues. And watch your height to cut, because once green speeds get away from you, they're really hard to recover from until you get some top growth. You make a list of the pros and cons, and now that we're into this 4 years, the list of cons is getting pretty short. and the list of pros continues to grow. And I think, you know, the proof is in the putting, if you want to say. Guys that play the non-overseeded greens typically prefer them versus non-overseeded. I think trying to get away from it has to be the deep green and it has to stripe up. If you can get away from that mindset, I think you can sell anyone on the non-overseeded.